Good morning, dear students. I hope you all are doing well. Okay, let's start our class. Today we are going to start the first chapter in this ecology, that components of ecosystem. The first point, who proposed that term ecosystem is by a British biologist A.G. Tansley in 1935. Then, what is ecosystem? A good definition we should know. And this definition you can write to all those questions relating with ecosystem. So, that definition is it is a dynamic system. Dynamic means anything that always changing. So, dynamic system composed of living and non-living things and they interact each other and this form the functional unit of nature. Once more I will tell. So ecosystem is defined as a dynamic system which includes both living and non-living things which interact each other to form the functional unit of nature. That is the definition of ecosystem. Then we are going to see the basic requirements of an ecosystem. Which are the basic requirements for the existence or sustenance of an ecosystem? They are cycling of materials and to have a constant input of energy. Constant input means for most of the ecosystem, the input, the donor, the major agent to input that energy is exactly the sun, that is the solar energy. The cycling of material means what? You need to understand that cycling means from one agent, that material, that energy is moving to another agent, one trophic level to next trophic level. Okay, so here the plants usually synthesize what organic materials by taking so many elements including the sunlight and release certain raw materials to the environment, raw materials that is used up by other animals. Okay, in that way that energy is cycling. That cycling is very necessary for the existence of ecosystem. So which are the basic requirements? Cycling of materials and a constant input of energy. Then there is another term, energy flow. What is energy flow? Flow means transfer of energy from one organism to another. Because here you consider that a plant is eaten by a rabbit. Then from plant that energy is transferring to next trophic level. It's a transfer of energy. That transfer is called energy flow. It's a structure of ecosystem. Structure means what all the components that constitute an ecosystem form its structure. Which all components present in an ecosystem? That all components is itself its structure. That components include both abiotic and biotic components. Abiotic means non-living, biotic means living components. Then what is the structure? Sorry, function of this ecosystem. Function of ecosystem means the flow of energy and materials through the ecosystem. That is the function of the components of the ecosystem to maintain that flow of energy and materials through the ecosystem. Then by what means that flow is occurring through certain cycles. That cycles are called biogeochemical cycles. So, through these cycles, energy from one trophic level is passing to next. One group of organism to next. That flow. And these organism and all the components present in the ecosystem constitute its structure. And so, Ecosystem structure we understand, and ecosystem's function also we understand. Then characteristics of ecosystem is important. Need to bifurcate. This ecosystem is the major structure and functional unit of ecology. Uh, Ecology is functional unit. Main structural and functional unit is ecosystem. Ecosystem is a basic unit. And structure of ecosystem. What is structure? Structure, I already explained to you what all components that constitute an ecosystem forms its structure. So once again it is explaining in another way. Structure of ecosystem means I is its species diversity. That means the components. Then function of ecosystem, that also I already told you, is a flow of energy. It's energy flow and material cycling constitute function of ecosystem. So ecosystem has a function, has a structure. Okay. Then what about the energy of an ecosystem? How much energy need to be used up to maintain an ecosystem? That depends upon its structure. Structure means complexity. Complexity of organisms present in that ecosystem. For example, just consider a simple ecosystem and a complex one. Simple means in that type of ecosystem, only food chains are existing. Food chain, you know what is food chain? Food chain means in that chain there will be a beginning trophic level is there, and then a next trophic level will be there, and the second trophic level is entirely depending on the first one, and there will be a third trophic level. Then third trophic level is entirely depending on second trophic level, like so. And that type, that relation is called a food chain. Okay, and in such type of relation, if any particular trophic level, members of a trophic level completely vanish, then it will affect the existence of the members of second trophic level. So much attention, care, everything is required for maintaining a simple type of ecosystem. And when consider the case of a complex type means food web is existing there. Food web, what is food web? That also we need to understand. Food web means in such type of relation, so many trophic levels are also there, and first trophic level, second trophic level, third trophic level, it go like that. And the first trophic level and second trophic level consider, then that second trophic level is not entirely depending only on that specific first trophic level. That means if that first trophic level is vanished or diminished by some reasons, that second trophic level can depend on some other or an alternative source also is there. It can depend on some other trophic level as its primary need. So it will not disappear from the biome. That type means that food web type. That means a complex ecosystem. So it requires only very less energy to maintain or sustain such type of. Such type means that complex type of. So only this thing you need to understand. Energy, regarding the amount of energy, more energy is required for maintaining simple ecosystem. At the same time, less amount of energy is required to maintain complex ecosystem. Then ecosystem maturation. Maturation means ecosystem. A good mature ecosystem is not forming all of a sudden. It is forming gradually from a premature stage, then it mature like for example, on the surface of a rock, first some Small green plants are appearing. They collect water, then gradually weathered that rock and creates more soil, and that soil then much bigger plants are growing, and later that plants are replaced by more taller plants, and then and finally it can be converted or changed to a huge collection of trees or forest. This is an ecosystem. It's a gradual process, maturation. At the last of that process only reach a climax stage. So ecosystem maturation occurs through a succession. It's called the ecological succession. It's gradual. Ecosystem also has the capacity of self-regulation. Self-regulation means it regulate, means to avoid the destruction, total destruction of that ecosystem, it itself can maintain the harmony. If the one trophic levels that its number increases beyond a certain limit, it has certain measures to decrease it to maintain the balance. If the what, for example, if the certain plant groups its number increases so much, then correspondingly the next trophic level, that is depending on that plant's number, also increases, and that increases can decrease that of increase in the first trophic level. Trophic level means that plants that immensely increase without a limit. Clear? Such type of balance is there in nature. The nature itself, the ecosystem itself can manage without letting any trophic level to flourish so much to exceed a limit. Okay. Then characteristics of ecosystem. Several terms are there. Environment. So, environment is a very simple thing. We all know. Anyway, we need to give a definition. It's a complex set of surroundings around an organism is its environment. What all surroundings are present around an organism that constitutes its environment. So many environmental factors are there. External environmental factors, that means they are the maybe force or substance or some conditions. All these things that surrounds, or all these things can affect the life of an organism. All these external forces are called environmental factors. So environment, we know what is environment. Then environmental factors means they are some external force or substance or condition which affects and surrounds the life of organism. That external factors, factors are known as environmental factors. Example, light. Light affects the growth of and existence of organisms, life forms. Temperature affects soil, water, rainfall. All these things are environment factors. And that environmental factors can be classified into four groups. Edaphic factors. Edaphic factors are the factors relating to the formation of soil, its physical and chemical properties. Edaphic means factors relating to soil and also the physical and chemical properties of soil. Climatic factors means it includes light, temperature, rainfall, humidity, atmospheric gases. Topographic or physiographic factors means those factors relating to geography. Is it of high altitude, and in which direction mountains are present, steepness, slopes. Regarding that, those all factors constitute topographic factors. Biotic factors means all type of interactions. There are interactions between different forms of life. There's another simple classification is that according to that classification, there is only two broad segments are present for ecological factors. They are abiotic factors and biotic factors. First one, abiotic factors. In abiotic factors, first factor we are going to see learn is edaphic factors, means something relating with the soil. What is edaphic factors? Factors means they are factors relating to structure and composition of soil. There is a significance of soil. It provides nourishment for plants, provide anchorage for plants also, and also supply water. Pedology is this branch of science dealing with the study of soil. Edaphology is an alternative term for pedology itself. And soil. How soil is formed? By weathering of rocks. Okay. Then how weathering occurs? Through several means. Physical methods are there, chemical and biological methods are there. So we are going to see about each one separately. Physical weathering. How physical weathering? Physically means that breaking, powdering of rocks happening because of some physical forces. It's a mechanical breakdown of rock into smaller particles. Which are the factors that mechanically breaking that rocks? They are of by falling of raindrops, heavy rain, hail. Hail means alipadam. Then wave actions on the banks, and also freezing and expansion. In some huge rocks, certain crevices are present. Crevices means villal. Through that crevices, water enters into the huge rock, and that water can, according to this external temperature, that water can freeze, and that freezing causes the expansion, and this may give more pressure to that rock, and this may later lead to the breakage of that huge rock. It's about physical weathering. Then chemical weathering means, chemical means because of the presence of certain chemical reactions happening in the atmosphere, rocks get withered, powdered. What are the means? Corrosion of rocks by chemical process, like which all the chemical process lead to the weathering of rocks? Hydration is there, oxidation reduction reactions are there, carbonation and solution. Each one we can learn. Hydration. Hydration means in the soil what is present? Hematite is a constant that present in the soil. This hematite, what happens to the hematite? This hematite absorbs water. Actually, first this hematite is present in the rock, and when rain happens, this hematite component of the rock absorbs water. After absorbing water, that hematite is converted into lemonade. And what's the peculiarity of this lemonade? It can swell, and that swelling can disrupt or break the rock. This is one reaction. Okay. Then oxidation reduction. Oxidation reduction means ferrous also present in soil, in rocks. That ferrous can easily undergoes oxidation reduction reaction to convert to ferrous form. Ferric become ferrous. Ferric means Fe3 plus and ferrous means Fe2 plus. And that's ferrous form. When Fe3 plus get converted to Fe2 plus, that ferrous form is more soluble. When the ferric form present in the rocks converted to ferrous form, it is more soluble, and this led to the disruption of the rocks or weathering of rocks. Then carbonation. Carbonation means it is applicable. This chemical reaction is applicable only for the case of limestone rocks. In the case of limestone rocks, when carbon, in the presence of carbon, atmospheric carbon dioxide, this limestone reacts with the carbon dioxide, and later that reaction led to the solubilization of the limestones. Then solution. Solution means it's a huge rock, and in this rock contain the salts of several elements like sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, chlorine. All these elements, salts are present. And as heavy rain happens, what it results, uh, okay. Mm. Heavy rain happens, these salts are easily solubilized. As these elements solubilize and washed out, the rock become porous. That is the solution process. That's another chemical reaction. Then biological weathering. Biological weathering means weathering of rocks by the activities of different types of organisms, like lichens. Lichens. This is the first. These are lichens. First group of life forms that is accommodating a bare area are usually these lichens. These lichens, as they flourish on any surface, it can hold more water in that surface, and gradually, as time passes, period passes, days passes, that surface become more subjected to solubilization or withering. So that's action of lichen. So we can call it as creators of a ecosystem, beginners. Okay. Microorganisms, roots of plants. These are all the agents causing biological weathering. Next, very important, soil profile can ask as 4 mark question for all your examinations. For that examination, you have to draw this picture also. Usually, it comes as part of 4 mark question. Okay. What is soil profile? It is a vertical section of soil, upper layers of soil. If you take a vertical section of soil, that section is called a soil profile. Then what is horizon? If we take such a vertical section, we can see many horizontal layers. That each layers are called horizons. How many types of horizons are present? 4 major horizons are present. O, A, B, C, R. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one is not that much major. So mainly 4 is there. First is O horizon. It is the organic. Organic means all the organic components are present in this layer. Plants, its roots, everything can be found in this layer. Organic. It is composed of fresh and partially decomposed organic matter. This O horizon is divided into 2 sublayers, O1 and O2. O1 composed of freshly fallen, just fallen dead organic matter, just fallen leaves. That area, that layer is O1. O2 means just beneath that O1, and that layer, the decomposition is just bigger. This is O2. Then A horizon. A horizon, comparing with other layers, A horizon is more darker. The difference you can easily notice. It is a mineral layer. Maybe because of the presence of more minerals, it appears more darker. This is the uppermost mineral layer. It is rich in organic matter, dark in color, light in texture. Light in texture means that its component particles are small size. So light texture. And it is a zone of elevation. Elevation means downward leaching of water. Everything happen in this layer. And this A horizon can be divided into sublayers like A1, A2 and A3. We are going to B horizon. B horizon seen below the A horizon. And what is its peculiarity? It contains clay, humus. Humus means the decaying matter of dead leaves, dead organic matters. That is humus. That humus all are present in B horizon. Iron, aluminum, all these things are present. And this is also dark color, somewhat dark color, and more coarse texture. It's not that much, its particles is not that much small as that of A. horizon. That's what coarse text is. As the size of the particles becoming more bigger, the texture changed to coarse texture. Divisions are B1, B2 and B3. Then sea horizon is there. Sea horizon can have a watch. This is the sea horizon. This is composed of weathered parent material, means the rock, parent rock, it's withering. After that withering, what is formed? Just that particles form the sea horizon. It is rich in calcium carbonate and calcium phosphate, and water content also more in this layer. Biological activity is very less, and this layer is called subsoil. Last horizon, our horizon is the lowermost horizon. It's composed of parent rocks, very hard, impermeable, and will not let even the plant roots to pass through that layer. Then we are going to see the soil texture. Texture means what affects, what is responsible for giving a texture for soil. That depends upon the size of the particles. So we can see how many different types of soil is there based on the texture. That classification is done by International Society of Soil Science. First one is sandy soil. Sandy soil, as the name indicates, it is mainly composed of sand. Then what will be the clay soil? It is mostly composed of clay. Then loam soil means what? Loam soil, a difference is there. This consists of sand is there, silt is there, and clay. All these components in equal percentage. Which are the three components? Loam soil, sand is there, silt, clay. These three things in equal percentage forms loam soil. Then sandy loam soil means what? In sandy loam soil, all the three components present, but sand will be more. Sand is predominant. Then silt loam soil means in that the three components are present, means three components means sand, silt, clay, but which is more predominant in silt loam soil, silt will be predominant. Then clay loam soil means clay will be predominant when compared with, with the amount of other two constituents. Then we are going to see the soil chemistry. Um, Chemistry means which are the elements, mainly which are the elements present in the soil. That elements which are the type, that mainly based on from which parent row that soil is formed. Okay. Common elements usually present in the soil are oxygen, aluminum, silicon, cadmium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, iron. And the trace elements means the elements that is present in very less amount are cobalt is there, boron is there, iron is there, zinc, arsenic, then barium, strontium, cadmium, etc. The soil pH. pH values we know 7 is neutral and above 7 is alkaline and below 7 is acidic. Normal soils pH value ranges between 4.5 and 8.5. But unusual case also noted. In such cases, its value ranges between 2.2 and 9.6. Rainy tropic regions, the soil will be acidic. In dry areas, it is alkaline. In humid climate, the upper soil is acidic. In arid climate, the upper layer is less acidic. What is the significance of pH? That pH determines the distribution of soil organ. What all organism is present, should present in a soil, in a sample of soil. That is determined by its pH. That's soil water. That water mainly come from rain itself. Principal source is rain. Then runoff water means as the rain happens, a certain amount of water is lost from the soil because of runoff, and it finally reaches in ocean. That amount of lost rainwater is called runoff water. Then field capacity means what amount of water a soil can store or absorb. That is its field capacity. Then soil air. Soil air means the air that present between the particles, so between the soil particles. Which are the common gases? Oxygen, carbon dioxide is there. Oxygen concentration is comparably less when compared with the concentration of carbon dioxide. Then we need to consider the case of aerobic and anaerobic soil. In the case of aerobic, certainly there will be oxygen because it is aerobic, and that amount is oxygen and carbon dioxide constitute 21 percentage. At the same time, nitrogen and argon constitute 79 percentage. In anaerobic soil, oxygen is totally lacking. Significance of this air, only because of the presence of this air, root growth is visible, seed germination is visible, and microbial activity is visible. Soil organic matter or humus. This humus is created by soil organism itself. Soil organism contribute this soil's organic matter or humus. In what form it contributes? In the form of carbohydrates, proteins, fats. This all come by the decay and decomposition of dead organisms. Okay. Litter means freshly fallen leaves. Humus means the partially decomposed, that freshly fallen organic matter. Humification means process of formation of humus. And then soil organisms. Microbiota means smallest organism present in soil. They include soil bacteria, algae, fungi, protozoa. Meso means much larger than this microbiota. It includes nematode, worms. This picture is given. Soil mites, small organisms. Then springtails, also small insects. Macro means much larger than meso. It includes insects, earthworms, millipedes means atta. Then centipedes means padudara. Then snakes, lizards, lymphless amphibians. With this we can finish today's class. Thank you.